Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Deep Dives in the Desert. We're on episode 22, and I'm very honored to have Dr. Sharnael with us. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yay, I'm glad we finally got to do this because we kept trying to schedule it, and we finally got it after a month or two that we were able to lock down. Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar, Dr. Sharnael is a naturopathic doctor, and she hosts her True TV on YouTube and has a few books out as well. And she's also a speaker to many conferences. And I know you just had one, so I'm going to be excited to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm ready to get started with this. So, Mom, did you have anything that you wanted to jump into before I start asking my endless questions?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that I have been a member of Dr. Sharnael's subscription on YouTube for years. Mm-hmm. And we have gone in on several of your live streams, which we always get so much out of.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They always have really interesting guests and everything on that. And
good information.
Right.
On how to live your life, just live your right way. Not just the right way, but in a way where you could be the most successful in creating, kind of potential for yourself.
Not only that, but we've also done the bio feed stuff with her. So we can talk a little bit about that too. And we also have your deck of the Emma's got it with her. The yes. And our family literally pulls these. And, does the accompanying essential oils, the decrees. And so we'll talk a little bit about that too. So I am a huge Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sihon fan, and I have been with her for a really long time. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you guys were so patient. Finally, I could get here. But I mean, my mom and my dad have been in the hospital twice, and just having to be on guard in hospitals to make sure everybody's okay and all the things. And the retreat, there's just been a lot going on. It's kind of a crazy time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of changes, that's for sure.
I mean, the energies are just,
chaotic.
But yes, we just came back from the retreat. I got back yesterday. As a matter of fact, my mom van, or now my dog van, I guess you could call it, is completely packed full of books and stuff, and biofeedback and biohacking machines. And Laura Eisenhower was with us. She co-hosted it with us. And I mean, I'm telling you, people, I wish you guys could have been there. Maybe come next time, because we're going to do it again next year. And literally, people came in one way and left a whole different way, including myself. I was just like, what? And the people that came and that we attracted, or it attracted, was just, there ended up being a lot of really, I say high level, a lot of people up there in the spiritual energy kind of space. And so speaking to people was so easy. And then of course we have the gorgeous Emerald Coast. The place we have it in is a very private space. And so it's really easy just to connect with God and nature, and just get your own downloads, whether you're even listening to anything that we talk about at night. And we keep the whole days completely open just to get services, whether we have raindrop training. We had Raindrop Lady there, and Reiki and biofeedback and ozone, and all the things for people just to get their cells on a physical, and get clear trauma, and just it was awesome.
It looked amazing. I was watching the pictures and looking at it. First of all, Destin's gorgeous, forget it. And then on top of that, to have you and Laura there, I love your dynamic anyway. Whenever you guys are together and you're talking and everything, you can just feel your closeness. And so having that kind of resonance with each other is going to attract people, but they're also going to gain something from it. I was really trying to figure out if I could get there and do it, and I just couldn't make it happen this time. But I definitely plan to join you guys the next time you do it. It just looked amazing.
Emma has to come too. You guys could do. We had several mother daughters there, And I'm hoping to bring my daughter next year too, because she'll be back here. But that was really fun, seeing the mother daughters together. Oh. And then I was just in Nevada, and I was like, "How far away are you?" I was like trying to. I'm like 6 hours. Well, how big is Nevada? What the heck? So
it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's far.
and I
It's
could like
definitely
pop
far.
over on my day off or during like a lunch or whatever dinner, but it just Reno wasn't anywhere near you guys. So
Yeah.
Like a 10+ hour drive.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
we'll connect one day somewhere. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
I keep hoping Grafton's going to happen, but it's just not a good time for you logistically with your family, and it just never seems to happen.
What's good?
But
Would you say rocks? What'd you say?
Grafton, Illinois, for the Journey to Truth.
Grafton. Oh my gosh, Grafton. Yeah, every time it's usually they always have it during finals of my kids.
Yeah, it's May.
And then this year, I'm actually going to be in Bali that week.
Wow.
So I'm like, really? Like, can we just ever align? I even talked to Tyler and them, and I'm just like, can you not have it during finals? Like, for the people who have children who are still in school, who take tests and finals, like that's like I gotta do the mom thing, at least for a little bit longer. Well, I guess that never ends, even when they're gone out of the house. Anyway, you're still momming for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, it's just a little, that week is always like finals week for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get there one day.
I know, right?
Well, you met Craig. You got to meet Craig in person. I haven't even met Craig in person. We were literally in the same like city and everything when I went to Scotland. Within a day, he was there with his tour. I was there the next day, and I'm like, "Can you stay one more day?" And he was like, "Can you come a day early?" But I was on this tour thing, and I was just like, "There's no way for me to get there a day early," and he couldn't stay a day late. I was like,
"Oh, that's so close. That's like tough."
So Doc, what I wanted to ask, because I'm really intrigued in the language, the power of language.
Yeah.
And I know you're big with that, and so what I wanted to ask is, you've written about the power of conscious language, right? But can you share on like just small shifts in your language?
Oh gosh.
How can that lead to bigger transformations in your life?
Whew. So Robert Tennyson Stevens is my mentor. He has passed coming up. Oh, I'm gonna. It's almost time for his anniversary of his leaving us in that form anyway. And it actually was pretty triggering, and I didn't even realize like the doing the Destin thing, because he's normally there with us, and I kept saying like, "Oh, when's the last time I've been to Destin?" I was trying to remember because 2 times ago he was supposed to be there and he didn't. He had to cancel, which he's never canceled anything, but he was sick and not telling us like how bad it was. And then the last time that I went wasn't for the retreat, but my husband and I were just doing like let's get back together and hang out and like connect again a week. And then I had a dream about him, and that in the dream he was basically telling me like it's time for him to go. And I contacted his daughter that morning, and she said, "He's asking for you. It's time. You need to come." And I literally left Destin on the next plane and went straight to North Carolina to go be with him. I keep his picture right in front of me, and he's always with me. But I didn't even, anyway. So he is the person who really, I've always been very aware of words and the power of words, the power of names. That's why it always takes me like so long to name my animals, my children, because you're speaking that over someone, forever. And I literally have a foster right now that I'm not like, I don't love the name they gave her. And I keep thinking like, I need to name her something different. And it's been 3 months and we still keep calling her that dog, the foster dog. It's like, we got to go on something, because I want to speak that into her. My name means Sharnael. I mean, my name is Sharnael, and that means warrior and rose of God. And I know you guys have your names. I have a name book that explains like walking that out. So I'd always been like intrigued with words and the power of words and what I say and how that carries frequency, how it creates. Some of the things that I was saying, to get to your question, John, I feel like I'm doing the Trump weave here. But I had gotten very ill in the past and was dealing with the C, and not the one that was the 3-year one with this, but the other C in the past. I don't even like to say the word. And when I had met Bob, he made me aware that I was saying some things that were that may have even started it, if not a big contribution to it. He had said things like, you know, do you ever say things like, I'm done, cancel clear, or I'm so over this, cancel clear, or I'm out of here, or I don't want to do this anymore, cancel clear, cancel clear. Those things, you know, when we speak literal things, the subconscious is very literal, and it says, okay, and then it just starts the ball rolling for the body to come into line and agreement with that. Some other things are saying like, I can't, cancel clear will create phlegm and problems in the lymphatic system, and or create things so it's difficult to drain the lymphatic system, which causes a lot of problems. To say things like it's hard, or it's anything, it's hard, cancel clear will create cysts or tumors or things like that. So I mean, our language literally we are God beings with God cells, and God spoke things into existence, and we speak things into existence, and we can even speak those things that are not as though they are, and create. So this conscious language is huge.
Yeah.
So so with that, with the conscious language, then you also talk about the structure of limiting of like your blueprint and what you believe. So I would think that your languaging would be a very strong contributor to what your blueprint is on what you're telling yourself. So how can someone identify what their blueprint is and then maybe start to shift their language, or how would they even identify it to make small shifts to maybe open up different possibilities by changing that blueprint a little bit? How would you go about that?
When you say blueprint, like explain that, elaborate a little bit so I can know.
Yeah, like your belief system, whatever your belief system is. So like the blueprint for my life is to be like, say, I'm a husband and a father. So if I fail at, say, if I'm not doing a good job being a husband, then like my life crumbles, because that's like my whole blueprint, where it's really, you can't let something like that happen. But we all fall into these blueprints. Some people have very negative blueprints or belief systems. So I would think languaging, that negative languaging could really play into that. So how do how do you?
So I do consultations with people regarding conscious language, and what I do is I just listen to see what people are saying, and I can figure out usually within a minute or two where the snag is that's causing the momentum of whatever negative pattern that people are having. Like if people say things like, well, I always have this happen to me, and I hear that, then I know that there's grief somewhere stuck in the body. And so I'll respond and say, grief about what? And then they'll say, I don't know. And then I'll say, okay, now that you know, what is it? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, so now say, I choose to know. And usually we will remember, like, and if I just say like first words, your heart knows, then usually something will come up that they didn't even remember at the time. And it literally just bubbles up. They'll have a picture or a memory or an age. I'll say, well, how old were you when the grief started or something? And they'll say, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, if you knew, what would it be? And then they'll come up with 9, and I'll go, okay, what happened at 9? And all of a sudden they'll remember something that happened at 9. And then we can say, well, what did you make up about that? and we just walk into like reversing it or seeing it with a different perspective, and then speaking into that to clear that and or create a new blueprint or a new program or a new pathway. And so that's just one example, but if people, let's say, I think it's funny when like people lose things. For example, they'll say like, I can't find blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, have fun with that. Or you could say, like this morning, I was looking for a remote control for something that I was not a TV, but a thing that required a remote control. And my program is, I am God's eyes seeing the remote control now. I'm God's hands holding the remote control. And then instantly I'll see a picture and I'll find it. Like always, it's a game. And it happens 100% of the time. And even when things have been in other places, long distance, I have, if any of you have read my book, I talk about like by location, I talk about getting lost things back. Not only have I been able to get back things and like they just land like a portal in my bed, but my daughter has practiced this and I've taught this to my kids, and now they're in the practice. I mean, they're teenagers now, but especially when they were little, they were just like, well, we'll just do what mom does. And my daughter had lost her wallet and she was like, well, I'm just going to do what mom did with, when she did that thing and her wallet came back. So like I had these wrist weights and I would always wear them like when I would go walking or whatever. And I was going out of town and I could not find my wrist weights and I wanted to pack them. And I was leaving the next morning and I was just like, where the heck are my, so I was like, I am God's eyes seeing my wrist weights. And I just made that true. I made it my belief. And immediately I saw myself take them off before I got on the scale at the gym because I was weighing myself and I just set them on this little ledge. And so I was like, so I called the gym and I was like, hey, are my weights there? I took them off on the thing and I realized that I left them. I remembered, not I forgot. I remembered that I left them because we say that we'll walk out. Well, like, I forgot my phone. No, you remembered your phone. I mean, geez, that's why you walked to get it. But see these programs, anyway, they were like, yes, they're here. We put them in the lost and found. And I was like, they were like, you want to come by and get them? And it was like 10 minutes before they were closing. There's no way I was going to get there in time. And so I was like, well, I leave in the morning, our early flight before you guys even open. Can you just set them aside for me? And I'll pick them up when I get back from my conference. And so that after that, I was like, why am I waiting? Like, I can create anything. I'm going to get my weights back. Like, I need them for tomorrow. Like, this is just not, So I started practicing and saying, now that I have my weights back for my trip and I am God's hands holding my weights, what's new and different for me? And I started to imagine like the feeling of having my weights and being excited about my weights. And I just kind of like then shelved it, went to bed, got up the next morning. I even like packed and I just kept saying, now that I have my arm weights, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm relieved, meaning to relive again, to relive, relief. And I got in my car. I remembered that I left my phone on my bed, not forgot, but I was like, oh, wait, got to go run the house. I remember my phone. When I went back to my phone on the bed, my weights were sitting there crisscrossed on top of each other. And I never fixed my bed, but my bed was like pulled up. My comforter was all pulled up and I was like, that's weird. And my phone was there, my weights were there. And I was like, that's really odd. But I was so happy that I was like, look what I just did. That's so cool. So I told my kids, and about a month later, we were doing a big conference with a guy named Ian Clayton. And my middle child was selling chocolate. And you know how they do that for the school or whatever. And she got this brand new wallet. And Ian came and like bought all the chocolate. He was like, look, how much is all the chocolate? I'll just buy it all from you. It was $40. He gave her $40. She was like, I have $40. Oh my God, I have $40. She was so happy. She was telling everyone, look at my new wallet and I have $40. And she was so happy. So when the conference was over, I was like, I saw her and she was over there with my friend Caroline and she's crying. And I was like, uh-oh. I go over there. I was like, what's going on? She's like, I can't find my wallet. I said, let's ship that up. I already know where my wallet is. I was like, you could just, so we had like 8 or 9 people all looking all over this conference, like in boxes, and we were putting chairs up, and we thought, maybe it got packed away or she had dropped it or maybe someone picked it up. So we went to the place and we were like, hey, do you have a lost and found or something we could check? And they couldn't find it. And so she was really upset. So when we got in the parking lot, I said, hey, you know what? Remember what mom did? Let's just do that. Like, let's get it back. And because by the way, when I called the gym, like out of curiosity, and I was like, hey, are my weights still there? Do you guys have them? They're like, we can't find them. We don't know what happened. They're totally gone. And so literally there was a physical thing that happened there. So I told my middle child, I was like, look, remember when mom did that thing with the weights? You have the technology. Let's just all agree. And so we got home and there's like 8 of us and we were debriefing and kind of going over how everything went. And that was also happened to be the same weekend that Eisenhower showed up at one of the meetings and left a message for me to meet Laura in the future. That's another story. And anyway, so she like made a beeline straight to her room to look on her bed because she thought they would show on my bed because she thought that was like the magic portal room. So she came out and she was like, and I was like, well, did you check your bed? And she's like, oh yeah, hold on. And she goes in her bed. There they were, her wallet and all her money was sitting there on her bed, just like.
Aww.
So she's used that to like, she made cheerleader that way. One day she woke up and was like, Mom, I want to be cheerleader. And I was like, you've never even taken a gymnastics class. Like, I'm like, okay, you're going to try out for like cheerleading. And she's like, no, I'm going to do the thing. And she did the thing. And like, now that I'm cheerleader, now that I'm popular, now that blah, 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 she made cheerleader and was doing aerials in like 2 weeks. I was like,
wow,
this is like creating our lives, and a lot of kids, a lot of homeschool moms and a lot of people are like teaching. I made this to be kid level so kids can learn, and like anyone can do this. If kids can do it, I can do it. Believe me, if I could do it, anyone could do these formulas and create all kinds of fun things.
So that's what I love about you. And I love that you have this like scientific mind and you put this spirituality in it and you marry the two so completely and different than anybody else, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You always come with these things. I love when you just jump on your phone and you talk about things. When you were talking about, you were thinking about a word and you were wordsmithing it, and then you started explaining your whole thought process with it that I can completely follow. It makes absolute sense. It changes what I think of, like my crown chakra's going. I'm listening to you. I'm like totally like, oh my gosh, she's so right. And then, or when you found the music with the trees and the plants and you were going around and you're like putting them against things and you're doing it. And this is what I love about you. You find something, you always share, you always help to look at things in a newer way that's always positive, always the most positive messages. And you're scientific. Like you're always doing the like, geeked out, like scientific thing. Like I found this out, I got to show you guys. And so anyway, I just wanted to say that, like, if you haven't listened to some of your little just quick when you jump on things, they're so cool and so interesting. But what I wanted you to talk about too is, because this is going to totally appeal to my Emma, you are always reading several books at a time and you put them in your bed with you. And I want you to tell what your belief system is about the books and actually having the books in your field.
Yes. So Edgar Casey, I didn't know this until like a year ago, but I've always slept books and I've always just believed. So I'm constantly actually reading. Like I do actually read as well. But I also believe and understand the science of words. So when I went to go see Dr. Lucky one time, I had found out that I was like low in D and that the vitamin. And to be clear, sorry, that was bad.
That's awesome.
Oh, Lord God.
I usually get in trouble for that.
So he was testing me to see, like, you know, like, so he took a vitamin D bottle and stuck it in my field to see if I would get stronger. And it actually made the opposite effect. It was like I got weaker. And so he was like, well, that doesn't make sense because it's showing that you need a vitamin D. And so he was like, well, is it the color of the bottle? Is it the bottle? Is it the label? And then it came back, yes, it's the label. So he went through on each word of the label until he found out that when he hit the word Ecuador, which is where it was made or distilled or came from, or I choose to know, that's what caused my body to go weak at the time. And I had like a kind of a near-death experience there where I was diagnosed with black mold, and I had to be in the hospital for 3 weeks, and didn't speak the language, and thought that I was gonna not be here anymore. And they actually did IVs of thieves 3 days in a row, and then frankincense on the 4th day, and then we start over and do that. That's a whole nother thing. But so the word was what caused the issue. And then I'm like, well, if that word is in my field and that caused a negative, like what other words do I hang out with or see or experience that I'm not even realizing could be causing me to be weak or strong at all? I mean, that's why I made the cards to be cards instead of a book, because I wanted people to be able to take a card, put it under their mattress or pillow, or put it in their lunchbox for the day, or their backpack, if it, you know, kids or whatever, because there's words, and then imagery is also very strong. And I have the decrees on here. I have what it's made of. I have the companion oils for essential oils, which all have frequency. All of that in your field will cause someone to be stronger. And so I'm really like hyper aware of labels, like on clothing or words on clothing. I threw out all kinds of clothes. I was like, I don't want that word on my body. I don't want it in my field. And then I realized, oh my gosh, like I'm always reading, and my husband and I are apart every other week for work situations between me and him. And so I found myself constantly studying. And when he wasn't home, then I would end up having like 6 or 10 books in my bed. And since he wasn't there, I would be like, well, I'm just going to sleep with him, not even thinking about that. But then realizing later, realizing that, oh, I was probably doing that subconsciously to really pick up on the essence of all these books, because there's only so much time in the day, and to really take all the knowledge that there is, although we are omnipresent and all of these things are omnipresent and all these people are omnipresent, and we can get that from the collective all the time anyway, like what does it hurt to have this in my field when I'm sleeping, because maybe I'll just get a little bit extra.
I have a question. Doc,
Yeah.
Can this happen even if you don't like to read?
Absolutely.
Holy cow. I hate reading. I don't like reading.
So go to bed and just be like,
Yeah.
thank you for getting all the information, because I would come up with the stuff. I would like think I'm coming up with things. And then later when I would have the time, I'd go read the book and I'd be like, oh my God, he was talking about that. And I was like, oh, I already got this, like just sleeping, you know.
That's cool.
And I'll even you could charge your water. Like I usually charge, like right now I'm charging my water with Superman, superhero stuff. You could charge it with like, this is a lavender Jupiter or whatever, you know, whatever. And I like to charge, and then you could drink it. So you could put this on top of a book and be like, you know what? I just want all of this in here. So I'm going to charge it, the water, and then I'm going to drink the water. And then I'm going to know everything that's in here, and I won't have to read it.
You want to know, Doc? That's what it made me think of, was Lisa would put, I'm grateful you know, on our water. Remember, you put the tags on because when we saw the book, right? That when you say things and the water crystallizes.
Yeah.
And so
Dr. Emoto.
Yeah. So she would put those on a book. But when you were saying you have the books in the bed, it made me think of like if we were the water, you know, that was the books were the labels around the glass, and I would be we would be the glass, and the book would be the words. And if the water's taking it from the words that you put on it, so why wouldn't we? Because we're made up of what, 75 to 80% water or whatever it is.
And the brain.
That's what it made me think of when you said that.
Yeah, the brain's like 90% water. So
yeah.
It's another way of educating ourselves, programming ourselves.
Wow.
So what do you think about that, Em?
I like that. And I usually, it's funny enough, I always have like 1 or 2 books next to my bed. So now I'm going to be like, just like throwing them all over here now. So I'm like, get all the knowledge. But I like how you also mentioned about, you know, having the pictures and stuff, which I actually just pulled this one just while we were talking about. I got watermelon
tourmaline. I love it. Watermelon tourmaline. Yes.
Yeah. So that one's big on embrace self-love, acceptance, and trust. So.
And what was our morning like, Em? What were we just...
It was the morning, and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting that this specifically came up. And I like the decree. It says, I am joyful now, and so is my world. So I think that's really big about like the self-talk and then the images that, you know, you're surrounding yourself with. And I actually try to do that too, like with like my water and all that. I'm trying to like say like, oh, I love you, or I'm gonna have a positive day, like things like that, just positive affirmations. And even on my phone, I have a whole like paragraph and a half of like a positive affirmation. I think that's so important because it's true. It's like your reality is going to reflect what you're portraying out, right? So I think that's important for people to take notice of that, and images especially. So that was really cool. And I like how you were doing this too with the crystals too, because I didn't realize this, but my mom first showed this to me that I didn't realize like even with images that they would give the same frequency as the actual crystal itself.
Yes.
It's so interesting. And I'm like, well, it makes sense now. You know,
How did you find that out, Doc?
You could just take your card box instead of your suitcase of crystals with you. It's like my husband's like, oh my God, can you just bring the card box, please?
Yeah, so how did you figure that out? Like, what made you?
So when back to that story about the Ecuador thing, I was in the middle of writing the book, to do this, and then I was like, well, if I have the book, I could just tear out a page, but then I was like, flashcards could be another way of just dispersing the knowledge quicker and easier than tearing out every page. It's like, why not? So then I started playing around with people's field, and I'd have them hold. These are all actually my crystals. Like, I didn't think about that after. I'm like, oh my gosh, whoever buys these literally has my crystals in their home. Kind of interesting. I mean, some of these pictures were taken in Destin, at that place I was telling you about it's so beautiful, but some of them were actually taken in my home. Like this is another one with Dustin. But in my home, and all of these are my babies, and so they're alive, and they all have frequency, and they all do different things. And I started playing around with like, okay, hold it, and they would be strong. I would take it away, they would be weaker. I would give them the card, and they were just as strong. And I was like, wow, there's some, this is pretty cool. Like, it's a lot lighter and easier to carry that in your pocket or your purse for the day than whatever. But going back to what you said I try to do something.
You're right. You got me.
Yeah. So, like, try to get out of that chair right now. It's like you're either gonna or you won't. So I choose to say, I choose to do this, or I choose to do that, or instead of, I'm going to try to do that or whatever. I mean, I think Yoda says that too, right? Yoda's like,
there is no try.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, there is. It's like do or do not do, or what does he say?
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what I think is important on what you said was, it's not just, I'm grateful, or it's that's very general, and it's a good start, but you want to get more specific. So like when you're drinking water, a better thing would be is, I'm so grateful because of, you know, all the like the nutrition that you're providing, or my body is revitalized from all the nutrition you provided, and it's
Very good.
it's already done. It's a done deal.
Specificity is you're absolutely right. Is specificity is key, and we can even do an exercise. So just say right now, like a lot of people will say, I am enough. I'm not a big fan of that, because I would never think that God would say, I am enough. I try to imagine what God would say, and I don't think God would ever say, I am enough, because that it's just weird. But, or I am protected. When I first learned or remembered, Bob, the language of remembering, to member again, to get into alignment with God again. When I first met him, I remember, I literally was like, I feel like I'm remembering you instead of meeting you. Like, it's like we did this before. And I didn't have any understanding of past lives or genetic memory, or, you know, I was completely out of the church scene. I was just getting out of still in the church scene when I met him. But when I first found conscious language and read his book, which you can get it on my website, drsharnael.com. It's pretty hard to find it, but I have a few copies left. He kept talking about, what was I just talking about? Remembering, conscious language, what were we talking about? I just lost my train.
Well, I'm not positive where you were going, but you were.
Sure, I get it. So I got so excited, I made a bunch of graphics that said, I am protected. And it was like, I am protected. And it had like a fence. And it showed like those, like in Paris, where they used to have like that fence where all people had their love locks. And I made that graphic. I made another one. I'm protected. And he literally texted me, and he was like, I saw your post. He's like, recommit. And that's how he would gently remind me that something I was doing was not like my highest, to recommit it, or to recommit, for it to come to you, or to make a new choice. And I was like, well, what's wrong? So I called him. I said, what do you not like about protection? And so he said, I want you to say out loud, I am protected. So everyone say, I am protected.
I am protected.
So say it one more time. I am protected.
I am protected.
Now I want you to say, or I invite you to say, I am secure.
I am secure.
Now say it again. I am secure.
I am secure.
So do you feel anything different when you say one or the other?
Yes.
Yeah, I think secure, you feel more powerful. I liked it better.
Yeah, it's got an easier flow to it. Protected feels like almost like
coming after you.
Yeah, it's something to protect yourself against.
Right. Exactly. You got it. Bing, bing, bing. Yeah. So protect, by saying I am protected, basically implies that something's coming after you. You're creating this something after you that you have to protect yourself from.
Yeah.
And so you're literally setting yourself up to constantly be in defense, which is not what I want to do. So when you say I am secure, for me, I feel it from the, like John said, from the inside out instead of from the outside in. I say it again. I am secure.
I am secure.
So he said he felt more powerful, like power, capital Full. I feel that too. I feel like it's a secure, it's from the inside pushing out. And I even love saying I ignite security in everyone I contact, or I secure everywhere I go. Meaning not only do I secure everyone that comes into my realm, but I secure, as in everywhere I go. Meaning I choose not to collect the weirdos or the ones, bless their hearts. But I enjoy whole people in my, happy, thriving people in my field. So I create that. I ignite Christ in everyone I contact. I ignite security in everyone I contact. I secure everywhere I go. And I feel that from the inside, not just,
I
this
love
whole
that.
constantly needing, like the victim mentality. I'm
Right.
protected.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's almost like you're coming from a place of lack and fear rather than
Yeah.
standing in your own sovereignty and power.
Yeah.
So, but in the science of miracles, to move there, you discuss the power of frequency, right? So, frequency and consciousness can be very healing if you're on the right frequency, right, and you're in the right mind space. How can people begin to tune into their own frequencies and make the shifts that they might expect to and what might they expect from the alignment of shifting those frequencies?
Wow, that's a great question. So we are all 67 megahertz on a healthy adult day. And, I can do soul audits and or biofeedback to see where people are in consciousness and how big their field is, how wide their field is. That's some ways to actually detect where you're at. When we drop from 67 megahertz down, that's when dis-ease can come in and we can start having issues physically. You could be around good people and it could bring you up, or good music and bring you up, or good food and bring you up. I mean, certain essential oil companies out there actually have frequency, music, animals, there's different things. And the higher frequency that we can get, so this field that we have, whether, the average person is like 4 to 5 feet. I've tested some people who literally are a foot or an inch or actually inverted. I've tested some people who are, 21 feet.
Wow.
Which is like a big influence, right? Like, and I have found that the lower the consciousness, which is different than megahertz. But the lower the consciousness, usually the shorter or smaller the field is. And like I said, a person can be inverted as well, because usually those people who are low in consciousness cannot generate their own frequency. So they have to siphon from other people to feel alive, which is a lot of the politics people in charge right now. And well, I don't know when this is going to air, and then there's other people who test really higher and they have a big field, but those who test lower, they don't have the influence. They don't have the field because this is tangible and transferable. So if you don't have the influence, then what would people do to try to influence? They could use 5G, and they can use, the Mockingbird Project, and, they can use weather control, and they can keep everybody in a hyper state of, fear and whatever, because people are more easily brainwashed that way, because they literally cannot say words that would change the hearts of people. And, some people that I'm talking about that are just like, what? And, and people are just like, huh? But if you're at that same frequency, they're like, yeah, let's go. And, or if you're brainwashed, which you could be brainwashed in the positive, or you can be brainwashed, in the not so positive. I like brainwashing, like literally cleaning my brain, like by reading and doing positive things that are going to program myself into some positive things, so I have a positive outcome. But this field is not only radiating out, it's also magnetizing. So we can only get what we actually are. So the higher frequency that we are, the better results were going to come to us, whether it's a job, people, resources, opportunities to do fun things, all those things and that's why clearing and biofeedback and some of those things are really good, because if you get biofeedback, will not only show you where you are diagnostically, but then it customizes frequencies to get sent back to you to clear some of those things that are no longer serving you, that you don't want in your field at all. And when those things are cleared, then you make room for more positive things that are going to magnetize better things to you. So a lot of times people who do biofeedback will suddenly get a new job, or, get a better man or a woman in their life, or the old ones just dissipate and like they go away. And or money comes, like they get a check in the mail and they're just like, whoa, I just did biofeedback 2 weeks ago and now I have $2,000 for a check here, or whatever. So everything we're creating all the time. Like, and it's like, what are we creating, one way or another? And it all has to do with what's going on in the field. So frequency is big,
So I think, first of all, well, a couple of things. I think biofeedback, I think everybody should experience that. I thought that was amazing to me when I was doing that. You speak out. It was the first time anything was ever done long distance for me. I never experienced that before. And so I was kind of like, because we trusted you, I trusted the process.
Yeah.
That being said, I never did it before, and I could not believe the amount of information that comes back.
Right? Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Pitches, diagnostically, and what would cause those things, right?
Not just emotions and even levels of certain things that how things are functioning. It was fascinating. It was really fascinating. And then you were helping us with like essential oils and supplements and things like that to kind of get ourselves back. It wasn't just like, you're like, here's your thing. And it's like, well, that sucks. Here you go. It was kind of like, and this is what we can do to kind of get your levels and stuff going. And it was really cool.
And so, with that, so that's amazing, Doc. I just got to say that's really like a miracle to me. But epigenetics, essential oils, conscious language, those 3 areas, which do you think would be the most powerful to get the most immediate change in your life?
If you were going to pick one?
If you had to pick one.
Oh, okay.
And I'm holding a metaphorical, I can't do that. We're good language.
Well, I like biofeedback because sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that gives us the opportunity to know how to change the language or maybe switch up essential oils or get into, there's specific ones to get into, by the way, because some of them can do the absolute opposite that that would not be great. But you mentioned the thing, long distance. I thought that was like, there's no way this can happen. But the first time someone did it to me, it knocked me out for 12 hours. Not everybody has that. The first 2 times made me really sleepy to integrate. The third time I cleaned my garage out and got rid of 23 bags of garbage. But like Craig was having a shoulder injury. He's my co-host on our show. We have a show on Thursdays at noon Central, and he's in the UK. And I did biofeedback on him, and I let it run longer because I'm on a trainment. It helps to do as long as you can. And he texted me, like I had to turn it off because I had a patient. We have a clinic here, a private practice, and I needed the software. And he immediately texted me in like a half an hour and was like, "Did you just turn the thing off?" And he was like, he felt the difference of like it being over. And even my grandmother, when she was ill, she had passed out and some problems were going on and no one could figure it out. All the doctors were like running tests and they couldn't figure out anything. And I'm like, send me a picture. And it showed she was dehydrated and had a UTI. And so I called the doctor. I'm like, check for a UTI, check for dehydration. And they were like, how did you know that? I'm like, because I have these diagnostics. So, yes, remote is good. Going back to your question, I think knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And so doing a session, whether it's biofeedback or just doing like a conscious language consultation, so I can listen and go, I'm just a mirror. And a lot of times I'll say, we talk and we're in autopilot sometimes, including myself, which is why I can so clear constantly. Because I'm like, oh, shoot, stop that, and create something else. But I feel like we need each other. And I mean that in the actual sense is like, that's why we have other people to sometimes be a sounding board, literally, and go, say that again. Did you just hear yourself? Because we say some things that we don't even know are coming out that are, like Emma caught herself saying, try. And I immediately saw in her face, she's like, oh, I said try. And then she was like, but we don't always, I choose to always find that. But diagnostically, I think that's a good way to start. And then you have a plan, because most people who do biofeedback just scan you and then they're like, see ya.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I had another person who did biofeedback before I did this one, and literally I would go, they would hook me up. It had to be in person, and I would just see all this stuff, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And then I would leave, and they'd be like, come back next week, and you got to do 20 of these. And I was like, really? Because I love knowing things. And so I look at everything when I do the biofeedback from a naturopathic point of view. And if there are things that I'm like, you know what, do this and this and this based on your report, that's going to anchor this in faster. And then you won't need 20. Maybe you just need 2 or 3.
Mhm.
And you're working on things, I'm working on things, and we're both working towards the same goal of getting you at a higher frequency and clearing whatever is going to create by default things that you don't choose for your highest, you know, and whether it's epigenetics or maybe an environmental issue or electronic issue, or maybe it's parasites or Lyme, or maybe you need to ground more or need a vitamin, or, you know, who knows, whatever shows up on the diagnostics.
Yeah. And
just the sheer amount of range that she has with this is amazing. She can talk about anything.
yeah, it's incredible. And I you know what, that's okay. Maybe it's a good time to pull up her YouTube and also her website. But we have, because we've, you know, had the benefit of watching you for so long, John and I, we have gotten, I don't know all the names of the things that we've done, but we've definitely been involved with you with your essential oils through Young Living. We've and we use those, and then we also that your husband actually had something about that iTerra, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the iTerra
with the blue light and the heat.
We got the wand for that, and we utilize that. We have the plugins for the EMF protection.
Yes, that really helped, because
we were having headaches.
The side of the house had the Wi-Fi meter reader, and it was right on the side of my bedroom. And every day, Doc, every day I got a headache again. And we put the plug in the room upstairs,
right above it,
and I did.
We got 2.
Yeah, one for the house.
That was good for 2. Well, let's let Emma. Go ahead, Emma. So what do you want now?
This is we're at the part with the online workshops. I've just been kind of slowly scrolling through.
Sorry, yeah. So she offers like a lot of stuff.
I love outcome mapping. That's one of my favorite ones too. I love that one. And I do have a muscle testing course on here.
What's outcome mapping? What is that?
It's a way I do sessions for outcome mapping where I basically teach people how to create whatever, maybe if they're choosing a certain specific thing, that would be their highest, and we can like get to that fast.
That's really cool.
Like maybe we could do a show completely on that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that would be great. And then we also, there's the plug right there. The 1, 2, 3, 4th one. We have that 3rd one. We we got those for the phones. For the phones. And then we also did, see, this is how much we trust her. And we she's like this, because I know you do all the research and I know you love that stuff. And so when you come with like receipts, details, you know what it is. We got that little purple thing that you put on your stomach to help to help with the parasites. That we have that. Like we have all kinds of Dr. Sharnael stuff.
Yeah, there's very few people that come with a pure intent to really help people and put out, and it's real quality product that really, and you see results not only in yourself but your family and even pets.
Yeah.
And so we love Dr. Sharnael. I mean, she's a great person. She's just great to have in your corner when stuff is going on.
We love you. Yeah. And we watch all the time. I used to be better at being able to catch the lives, and I love to participate in that because everybody that's there
I saw you today.
I was there today. Yeah, I really like her. You know what? I didn't know her, and I love her. I'm excited that
we have like 4 or 5 shows. We're gonna start doing a show, which you've heard, but I have several with her, and every time it goes by like in 5 minutes, and it's like, wait, what did we even talk about the subject? It's like it's so easy.
Yeah, no, she's great. I really, really liked her. And then before we wrap up, Em, did you have anything else that you wanted to? We didn't give you much time to talk. I'm like geeking out on Dr. Sharnael, and I'm like talking the whole time. Sorry.
We would think we know her long enough where we're not like fire hose in her, but
You know what? I've been waiting.
We could do a part 2 and let Emma ask her
Yeah.
that'd
questions.
be awesome.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Anything I can do for
Yeah.
you guys. You guys are my heart, and I just love you.
We love you too.
I'll definitely come back and we'll have more time because I would love to get to know Emma too. And yeah, and you guys, you did such a good job with this beautiful, brilliant life here. And you guys are so great. And we need each other, you know, like literally like that you can beam in your neck of the woods, you know, over there. And then we all have our little space and our people in our community. The more that we can ignite to love and truth, you know, that's my heart is I choose to equip people in their space because I think a lot of the programs are that you have this outside person and now you got to talk to them all the time, or whether it's a pastor or a counselor or a chiropractor or, you know, it's like a doctor, you know, it's like, no, we already know. And if you could have someone to point you in the direction on your own and equip yourself to know some of these things and to apply them and do them and then spread the word to other people and keep teaching. And like, I love that you just started this channel. I mean, I'm on episode 22. I love that number. I mean, the more the merrier. Let's like get it done and like let's spread love and let's spread truth and let's get get life and love out there and really take off. And I just totally support you guys. And
thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. I'm so happy that you came. And yes, we'll definitely try to get in touch. Hopefully it won't be so long to get us back together again.
Yeah.
And I promise I won't ask.
Yeah, I'm here. Whatever, anytime you just tell me when I'm there.
Yay. Okay. Thank you so much. Emma, you want to go ahead and wrap it up? I know she had to go today and we totally kept her.
Yeah. It was a pleasure meeting you and I look forward to the next time. And then I'll ask all my lists of questions. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to share and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye, guys. Thank you.